Hello, everybody. I'm Brad Curry along with Star Saxteen, and welcome to episode 6 of EdPerspectives, our final episode of 2014. And we are very excited to talk about, actually look back at the year 2014. It's been a very exciting year for both Star and I, both on a personal and professional level. And we hopefully you can share some of those experiences with us and think back and reflect on all the great things you've done this past year. Star, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. I learned a lot from last school year. So when we wrapped things up in June, I had a lot of stuff on my plate that I was really thinking about, that I really had the opportunity to sort of implement in the first half of this school year. So it's been pretty exciting. Um, like you had suggested, there's been lots of personal stuff happening outside of work as well that has also added to some of that excitement and has helped with the risk taking, as we have discussed in one of our earlier ed perspectives with the taking risks and how they could pay off for big rewards. So pretty excited to look back on the year. What was your top moment if you had to pick? If one's too hard, could you pick your top three moments from 2014?
Sure. One of the top moments I think was here at our middle school, Black River Middle School. We were able to continue moving forward in an innovative fashion with our one-to-one Chromebook initiative. It was a couple years in the making, and to actually see that play out, and to now walk into classrooms at any given moment and see students creating, connecting, and trying to make sense of what they're learning on their Chromebooks is pretty special. So that was really a special moment here for 2014. We were designated as a school to watch, which is very good
That's
honor.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough to have a book come out, All Hands on Deck. So I worked on that for most of the first half of the 2014, and it just came out this past September, and so that was very special. Looking at a company I formed with two of my friends, Scott Rocco and Billy Krakauer, called Evolving Educators. We debuted back in August, and that's been going very well. And finally, being designated as an ASCD emerging leader was something very special that I'll never forget, and has put me in contact with some tremendous people, from all over the world. And obviously, Star, doing this Ed Perspectives episode with you is definitely a highlight from 2014.
You know,
How about
Brad,
you?
I was actually thinking about that, Brad. I think we wrote our first um, post together in 2013, and that was really the impetus for us doing these videos. I think we had started going back and forth on Twitter. We direct messaged a bunch of times after a sat chat, and you were like, we should do something together, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then I sent you an email, and I already wrote half the article.
Yeah,
Not
that's right.
money
Yeah.
wanted. But it was such a great idea. I feel like we really hit on something special, just because so often in education everything is so very one-sided. Teachers see things from the teacher perspective, students see things from the student perspective, administration sees it from administrative perspective, except most administrators at some point or another were also teachers, so I feel like they would have the most robust sort of perspective, hopefully. Although, you excluded from the comments I'm about to make, most administrators, it seems, lose the teacher perspective relatively quickly. Um, and that's part of some of my big moments of this year. One thing I've always really prided myself on as a teacher, as an educator, is going to bat for my kids and trying to make choices that are best for my kids, even if that puts me in a position that could get me in trouble, and I am often in trouble. So, a lot of times I wouldn't advocate untenured teachers doing a lot of the stuff I take risks with, because I don't know what their, environment is where they are, but I've been at my school a very long time. I have seniority. I have tenure. There is a safety net for me to take these risks on behalf of my kids, which I think is really important. And for me, the top one of this year is definitely um, throwing out grades, which was sort of like a decision I made at the end of last year that I started trying it with one of my classes, and then I just decided at the beginning of this year, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. There's never going to be a right time to do this. There's never going to be a right way to do it. I might as well just try and kind of go and see what happens. And it's been really, really positive, not without challenges and definitely not easy, but definitely worthwhile. Like you as well, I was fortunate enough to be signed on as a Corwin Connected educator, and my book will be coming out in January, but I finished writing it this year, which was pretty awesome. And for me, the additional one was starting my blog on EdWeek Teacher Work in Progress, which at one point I kind of thought was supposed to be specifically about the journey of the writing teacher. That was what we had really spoke of, which is why it was called Work in Progress. And ultimately, it's sort of become a platform for me to document the no grades journey and the implementation of technology in my classroom and the student empowerment that I tend to try to focus on in my space. So those are my tops for this year. I'm sure if I sat here and thought harder, I could come up with a whole lot more, but I feel really, really lucky that I'm in a place where, you know, first of all, I have the forum and the outlet to do all these great things that we do. And you and I got to present together about EdPerspectives at Edscape,
Yeah.
which was a lot of fun, and got to hang out. We'll get to hang out at ISTE. Hopefully everybody will see us at ISTE. That'll be the
Yeah,
next
absolutely.
one.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's definitely both of us have gone through some tremendous things this past school year, or this past year actually, not school year. Um, and it's, you know, looking at, you know, the Corwin Connected Educator series, you know, being able to connect with people on Voxer, I think was, you know, a special, probably one of the top tools that kind of have pushed or challenged me this year to better myself as an educator. You know, for the past few years, I've been using tools like Twitter to connect with people, and we've taken it a step further and used a tool like Voxer to, you know, bring that listening part to, you know, expanding your PLN. So to be able to leave messages with people and to connect with people with the Push to Talk app has been very special. And you know, you go back to talking about risks and the risks you take in the classroom. You know, I'm fortunate to see that risk taking as well here in our classrooms at Black River Middle School with the different tools and strategies that teachers are using on a consistent basis. For me personally, taking a risk, you know, it's, you know, just pushing the envelope in terms of trying to ensure that students have access to you know, technology and to best practices on a daily basis, and we're continuing to do that. So and telling our school story, I think, is still important, and not only telling our school story but telling our own stories. It's important that you do that as a teacher, as an administrator, any school stakeholder. You need to tell your story. And you know, I think you do a good job of that with your Student Star and the different projects that they do throughout the year, and telling their story, making sense of their learning. We need to do that. We need to promote ourselves, and it helps with reflection, and just helps in making us better people, more well-rounded, educated people. You know, the more we promote, the more we reflect. I think it helps everybody out in the long run.
Well, on that note, I guess my last question for you for our segment here is, if there was one goal that you wanted to set for yourself in 2015, based on the reflections and positives and challenges of this past year, what is the thing that's going to drive you next year? What's the focus of 2015?
Yeah, the focus is going to be how schools, particularly New Jersey and other places where they're dealing with park, you know,
Mm.
how are we going to respond? How are all stakeholders going to respond to the park implementation? In some other states, it's smarter balance. Other states aren't even doing this standardized testing sort of thing. But how are we going to respond? You know, I have a perspective as an educator, as a parent, as a taxpayer. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, and how schools are going to maintain their innovative ways, and not get into that trap of standardized testing, teaching to the test, and putting all their time and resources to just the park testing. I'm going to try to focus on keeping on moving the conversation forward, moving our school forward in a direction where we're continuing to focus on what's best for kids. One portion of that is testing and a diagnostic component, but staying innovative, keeping it fun, keeping it relevant. That's going to be the challenge of 2015, and it's going to be very interesting to see how all this plays out from a parent perspective, from an educator perspective, and a taxpayer perspective.
I think that that's spot on from a teacher's perspective. I'm lucky enough to not really teach very many classes that end in an exam. My kids take the AP test, my 12th graders, but a couple years ago I actually sort of petitioned the College Board to see if my kids could submit a portfolio instead of taking the test for credit. The work that they do in the classes are just, it's so much better than any test they could come up with, that if they even just submitted their final research paper, I feel like that alone is the culmination of a body of work that one exam could never possibly show. So I mean, for my goal for this year, something that I really want to focus on is just bringing more of the reforms that we're trying to bring into our respective innovative schools into the mainstream. I think that's one thing that EdPerspectives really, we need to really kind of focus on, that whole connected educator piece. I did a PD, the Twitter PD that I've been dying to do for the last 2 years. I finally got a chance to do it on Monday. Complete disaster area. It was so sad and so upsetting to me that I walked into the room, I put my Prezi up, and people are like, I hate Twitter. Like, oh, when was the last time you used it? I've never used it. Like, oh, awesome, awesome. That's kind of what we're combating against right now. So part of my mission for 2015 is to find a balance to help the unconnected kind of see the value in getting connected, and trying to raise awareness about grading practices, which is something that has sort of become my focus now on so many different levels. And for those of you just joining us, this is Huxley. I can't put a bottom third up for him, but he wanted to be a part of today's EdPerspectives. He might turn to face the camera now if you're lucky. So yeah, I think that that's really my main goal for this year. Just writing. Oh, look, he's saying hi. Look.
Hey, Huxley.
Look, Brad says hi. Hey, buddy. So that's really my focus, and really trying to get to a place where kids are the empowered voice to help with that reform. I can't even count how many times this year I've had kids say to me, how come more teachers aren't doing what you're doing? And there's a happiness in my heart when they say things like that, but a sadness at the same time. Like, I know what I'm doing is moving in the right direction. I know that shifting the mindset of old school traditions is a very challenging feat, and that it's not going to just switch because I say switch. So that's something that I really want to work on, whether it's cross-platform, trying to get out there, speaking to people, writing books, writing blog posts. The unconnected folks, they don't really read blog posts, but just trying to get people to share with their schools the stuff that we do. And who knows, maybe you and I will expand this a little bit more, get maybe more voices into the EdPerspectives, and maybe hopefully set a schedule for next year so that we could, maybe plan in advance.
Absolutely.
He's got a heavy headbutt. That's
there you go. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 2015 is definitely going to be a year where we expand this very important conversation, and hopefully, not hopefully, we will include more voices and more opportunities for people to understand the perspectives of educators, whether you're a teacher or an administrator. So many wonderful things happened in 2014, and it's definitely going to be probably one of my most special years from a professional standpoint, with all the things that took place. It was a very busy year, but rewarding year, and looking forward to 2015 to bring some more of those same things. And I know that it'll happen for both of us. And for the people that are watching this episode of Ed Perspectives, it's been a pleasure to connect with so many of these people in the wonderful world of Twitter and in other venues, whether it's at a conference. You talked about ISTE. ISTE 2015 is in Philadelphia, June 28th, I think, to July 1st. So that'll be a great time to connect with so many people from the Connected Educator series, yourself, and many others. And it's just a very exciting time in education. One of the most frustrating times, but definitely one of the most exciting times in education. So I think that does it, Star. You want to end it here? And
yeah, I mean, if you guys are watching and you want to share with us some of your highlights of 2014, we would love to hear your thoughts. We would also love suggestions for some topics you'd love for us to address, and maybe you could come on and be a guest of ours while we address those topics. So comment on the video after you watch, and help us change education. Have a great night.
All right, everybody, take care.
Bye-bye.